Hello there, my name is Big Sweaty Balls, and today we're gonna review the third installment in the Minions trilogy called Minions and Monsters. I actually kinda reviewed the first movie in my last video about Tekken 5. If you look at it, I think it's called Learning Ling Xiao Yu combos in Tekken 5 or something like that, and then also kind of Minions. That's the title. That's literally the title. I know, awkward ass fucking title. Makes sense because it's not getting any views. Okay, so funny thing is, I watched it I think 2 days ago, and okay, I'm gonna have to be honest. I don't remember anything. Not that the movie's bad. I'm gonna give you like the summary of it. It's a great movie. You should watch it. You should watch it if you love really dumb things. If you're someone who laughs like farts, poops, and piss jokes, you're gonna love the Minions. It honestly, okay, I'm gonna say it out of the bat. Subjectively speaking, it's a 10 out of 10. Subjectively speaking, objectively speaking, it's probably. Objectively speaking, it's probably a 7.8, 7.9 even. But for me, it's a 10 out of 10. And I just love everything about it. I love the humor. I love like there's a lot of like slapstick comedy sequences that are referencing Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. Those are amazing. Those are just perfect, honestly. Okay, my fingers hurt now. Ooh, that was so close. Good God. Okay. I'm playing it as I'm talking, so that's why it's not maybe as a YouTube cinematic, as YouTube coded as you want this to be. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, it's got a lots of great slapstick comedy moments, and then I think that's about it. And the Minions are just so fucking cute. I'm gonna tell you what doesn't work. What doesn't work is that there is no. One could say there isn't a lot of like emotional through lines. I wasn't very moved. I wasn't very moved in the same way I was moved with the second one. The second one kind of moved me in a weird way because it was like a lot about like Gru learning to accept having friends and like sort of it was like his first stage of opening up. Obviously, he opens up the most in the first Despicable Me movie, and then he gets daughters and stuff, right? There's that. Okay, I'm gonna try to take my laptop closer. Okay, now we gotta focus. But the main problem with the movie is that 30 minutes of it is wasted on introducing the whole concept of Minions again. Like, it sort of assumes that you're a kid and you've never watched the first two Minions, because I think maybe there's been too much time between each installment, and they're assuming that this audience is probably going to be a whole new generation of kids, because the older ones who watched the second one are probably all grown up now. That also makes sense, but I think they need to realize that a lot of oh my fucking God, part of the whole Minions movement right now is being done by, sadly for them, not sadly for the producers, but sadly for the people doing the memes. Sadly, it's a bunch of 20-year-olds who are unemployed and who can't pay rent and are still living in their parents' place, aka me. That's the people who love Minions right now, because Minions is essentially pure escapism. And I think people in the mid-20s right now are kind of living through the same stuff that people living through the Great Depression were living through. Not really, but like emotionally and mentally, I think so, yes, because you're sort of like constantly comparing yourself to people on Instagram. Anyways, I'm running my mouth a lot, and now my jaw hurts. Okay, so no emotional through line, and then they waste like about 30 minutes on setting up Henry, James, and Ed, which is the new trio. If they were doing this with Kevin, Stewart, and Bob, it would make sense why you had to give an explanation of how they end up in Hollywood. I kind of don't need it. I'm being honest. So if it's like a bunch, like a whole new set of characters, I don't mind. You could just make some bullshit reason, and then just throw them into Los Angeles. But they instead waste 40 minutes, essentially doing the same thing they did in the first Minions, which is like, they want to have a big boss, a big bad guy, and then they keep hurting and killing the big bosses, and that's like wasted time to me, And it was essentially the worst part of the movie, because I was like, okay, this is not as good as the second one. Obviously, kill me. I'd rank this higher than any other Minions movie. Actually, and okay, but I might be biased because I would rank the Minions trilogy above the Dark Knight trilogy. And I'm being very honest right now. I'm not doing a joke. I think the Minions trilogy makes me feel very happy inside. It makes me cry less, and yeah, it saved me through so many dark nights of being alone and thinking bad thoughts. And then the Minions would would extend their hands. I didn't have friends. All I had was Kevin, Stuart, and Bob in my life. And now happily, I'm happy to extend my friend group to also include Ed, Henry, and James. So yeah, the Minions trilogy have done a lot to me, and by doing this video, I hope I can do the same in turn for the Minions trilogy. I hope a lot of people watch this and they realize how cinematically elevated, like how much of a cinematically elevated piece of art the Minions trilogy have been, and that we've been taking very much for granted. Okay, so going back to the cons of the movie, it has a pace that's way too fast. It's 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I think they're trying to cram every single piece of information, which again goes back to my first criticism. They should have skipped the whole intro, because that would have freed up time, and you would have gotten more time to do all the storylines they were doing. Because in the first two movies, it's technically maybe max 2 storylines. Really, it's 2 storylines. So in the first movie, it's Kevin, Stuart, Bob going to Scarlet Overkill and trying to trying to get a new villain there, and trying to get a new big boss there, and then that goes wrong. But at the same time, it's the whole colony of the Minions also going to England as well. That's the 2 main storylines. In Rise of Gru, the second one, it's also almost the same thing, where Kevin, Stuart, and Bob are learning Kung Fu to, I think, protect and bring back Gru, and then the whole colony is doing something. I forgot what the colony was doing. It basically 2 storylines. Okay, it's 2 storylines. And then in the end they sing, and then there's a funeral and whatever. This one, there's a whole monster storyline. First of all, there's a whole robot guy storyline played by Jesse Eisenberg. Surprisingly, great performance by him, by the way. He was so endearing. And then there's a third storyline with Henry, James, and Ed, and trying to make a movie. And then there's a 4th storyline with the whole colony of the Minions, them going through the whole, we need to find a big boss thing. It was so many storylines, and they, it's too fast. And I get why they had to make it so fast, so that it would be under 1 hour 30 minutes, so that they could have multiple showings, multiple screenings in one day. I get it. It's a business strategy, but I think it hurts the art. I really do. And I mean that it hurts the art. So that's basically it. Yeah, that's basically it. Should you watch Minions? Yes, because it's very, very funny. It's very dumb. It made me happy. I had a very horrifying day. I've been stressing over because of my internship. I don't want to work. Not in the sense that I don't want to be employed. I want to be self-employed. I'm so scared with the notion of being employed by someone else and being told what to do. Not being told what to do, but I think people are mean, and when you put them under pressure, they're not gonna be very nice to you, and I'm very scared of that. So, once again, Minions kind of made me feel better. Oh no, okay. And also my personal life has also been going to shit recently. Isn't it? What is that? Okay, so that's basically about it. I wasn't very funny in this video. I'm sorry about that. But I was trying to sort of just make a utilitarian kind of a video, like a functional video of oh, should you watch the Minions? It's really that good. It really is that good. And I think I'm kind of surprised people are saying it's underperforming. I'm gonna burp. I'm so surprised people are saying it's underperforming. I don't think us as an audience realize what we are getting. We complain there are no comedies, but then I think the Minions is a great comedy trilogy. I mean that very much with all my heart. And I think people just don't get it. People just don't get it because they're not as hip. And then also, To understand comedy, you must have gone through for a huge amount of pain, and I've gone through enough pain, I might say, to understand the Minions, to understand the comedy of the Minions. And I think a lot of people, you know, they live simple lives. They can afford rent. They have no roommates. Okay, that's not most of the people. You get what I mean? They have iPhones and stuff. I'm suffering over here. I'm suffering over here. And you know, recently I've gotten into Taoism and Buddhism. And I think, you know, all of these things, you know, is required to understand Minions as a comedy and to be able to laugh at the jokes. You need to do your homework. You need to be doing your homework before you watch the Minions. So should you watch the Minions? I don't think so. If you're not worthy, you won't understand. So that's the point I'm trying to make. You have to go through some suffering. You have to understand that you know, suffering is part of life. You have to build the endurance and the strength to be able to tolerate suffering and fuck my life, and thereby being, you know, thereby opening your third eye almost in a weird sense, and then being able to enjoy the Minions. So was this a review of Minions and Monsters? No, I think it was more of a review of yourself. Are you worthy of Minions and Monsters? Are you worthy of Minions and Monsters? That's the question you should be asking yourself. And I think if you sit in silence, you know, if you sit in silence and you answer the question seriously, I think you will hear a whisper, and the whisper will tell you no, and in that moment you will cry, and you will cry for days, and then when you stop crying and then you put on Minions and Monsters, you will cry even more, because you then realize, oh, whatever you've been needing in your whole life, this whole void you've been trying to fill was just in front of you. It was yellow, it was short. Some of them have 2 eyes, some of them have 1 eye. Some of them have 1 eye, some of them, oh my god, have 2 eyes. This is the worst video ever. Anyways, there's that. Fuck you and fuck me. This is probably one of the most disgusting videos I've ever made on YouTube. Oh well, should you watch Minions? Yes, it's not. This video is not funny. Fuck man. Okay, well, bye bye. Okay, fuck. I just realized I forgot to say my closing tagline, my closing statements, which is big ball. What? Big sweaty balls. Signing off.